Mm-hmm.
Okay. You got some. Give me some noise just so I can.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Aren't you feeling relieved?
Just took the biggest dump.
Poor thing.
Oh my God. Not because I did take a dump, y'all, but because we got new software. We're trying to upgrade.
A data dump.
Yeah, data dump. Yes, we trying to grow with the podcast because our viewership is growing.
Our viewership is growing.
I guess listenership. Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, our listenership is growing, and we're trying to be able to get fancier.
Yes, and we had an anonymous investor.
Yes.
Help get us some upgraded equipment. His identity will remain a secret, but just for the sake of identifying him in some form or fashion, we shall call him Charlie.
Thank you so much, Charlie. Thank you,
Charlie.
Right? Oh, on the count of three. One, two, three.
Thank you, Charlie.
Oh yeah, that's good. I'm sure Charlie will appreciate that. Okay, so it has been a minute since I've seen you.
I know. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. I was following you a little bit on social media, but I don't think you posted a lot about your trip on social media.
No, I left my phone down most of the time.
Which is a good thing, right? It's good to unplug a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't even take as many pictures as I normally do.
Mm-hmm.
But the few that I did, I kind of posted after the fact.
Well, it's hard to take pictures when your hands are full of Jell-O shots.
That is. Oh, you heard that story. Yeah, apparently I'm getting known for that.
Yes, Jell-O shots. And, I remember you and your long hair in the pool at the event that you went to. And the event was what's the event? Say the name?
Big Boy Pride. In Orlando, Florida.
Yes. And I went once, as I think I've mentioned in the previous podcast that I went once.
I've been like 10 times.
And yes, you are Dr. Soulful of the Pride Festival.
Goodness.
Well, something I'm really excited to talk about. We have several things to talk about today. And today's episode is going to be featuring body positivity.
Oh, yes. Yes, very important topic.
And we have a guest, a good friend of yours. You want to introduce or just tell people the name?
Oh, yes. Nico Bear is joining us today.
Nico Bear. We look forward to having him join us later on after we take a break. But we're not ready for a break yet. We have some topics we want to talk about.
The media has been very busy these days.
Yeah. A lot of people are talking about the new White House press secretary.
Mm-hmm.
What's her name?
It is Karine Jean-Pierre.
She's black. She's lesbian, and has a partner who works for CNN.
Wow, talk about a power couple.
A power couple indeed. Now, can I confess something?
Sure. It's a safe space.
It's a safe space until it goes into the world.
Until it goes viral.
I was talking to one of my friends about it. I'm going to put this on them. And they were saying, I hope that she's with someone black. Because, I as a black person knew immediately why they said that. Some other people may think, oh, that's a racist thing to say. But can you guess why they said that?
I'm not certain. Why would they say that, Cream?
Because so often successful black people marry white.
Okay, I could see that.
I remember reading an article that Eartha Kitt, because Eartha Kitt, I guess, was known for dating a few white men.
Okay.
And someone asked Eartha Kitt, like, why don't you date your race? And Eartha Kitt said, I want to date my race. They didn't want me. The man who I wanted didn't want me.
Oh.
She was talking about Harry Belafonte. I'm trying to think who else of that era, like that era of Hollywood black leading men.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I think she said Harry told her that he needed to be with a white woman because she would give him entree into, I guess to mainstream society. I guess
I could see that.
I can see it too, especially in that time.
It's very, over time, I've seen the black community create a lot of safe spaces for themselves, especially in entertainment. You have black radio that has really opened a lot of doors for a lot of artists over the last 100 years and longer. But they usually never get beyond that. It's very rare that you get a artist that's very popular on black radio and is able to cross over and have the same kind of impact. Whitney Houston being one of the ones that exploded in mainstream radio and not just black radio, but not many people get that opportunity.
And Janet Jackson.
Right.
And Michael Jackson. I mean, we can do a list, Prince, but comparatively, it's probably like you're totally right. I mean,
it's such a small percentage of black artists that make it,
that crossover. But what's so funny about that, though, is that what you'll find is that white people will be successful making the music that black people make.
Yep.
Like like black people will like everyone will still buy that music. I guess. Am I making sense? So it's like you take a song, let's say an Ariana Grande song that becomes pop, quote. You give that song to Normani, and it's R&B.
Yeah, it gets compartmentalized.
It's compartmentalized, and it doesn't get the same kind of push and things like that.
Or even worse, you get a non-black artist that is just outright doing R&B, and they'll get all the nominations that better black artists don't necessarily get. I remember one of the biggest controversies out there was when George Michael won R&B Artist of the Year, and it pissed a lot of people off because, we've been, the black community's been doing R&B for decades, and nobody ever acknowledged it. And here's somebody that's non-black.
And I definitely understand it for that time, and I know that there's so many different nuances to this discussion that we cannot even tackle. We would probably have to have a whole panel to adequately address all of that stuff, but hey, it is what it is. But I'm sure we'll talk about it at some point, on the thing.
It's such a broad subject. There's so many parts of it that we can touch.
But getting back to the White House press secretary, Obama had it rough, right?
Michelle had it
rough.
And most recently, a few weeks ago, Ketanji had it rough while she was going through the nominations for a Supreme Court.
Exactly. And I know someone might say, well, everybody gets it rough on some level, but I don't know. I think people of color get it a little bit rougher because there's all these, just like a woman would get it rougher, because there's just other nuances that get added to the discussion, to the critique that maybe a cisgendered white man may not have to face, basically.
It's rougher because not only do they get... in the case of the Supreme Court nomination, the vetting process is not only a lot more difficult and brutal and many times inappropriate, but Ketanji had to she had to grin and bear it. She has to, for the sake of the society we live in, maintain a certain composure that, we were okay not getting from Brett when he was up for the nomination for Supreme Court.
Yes.
He had outbursts, was outraged, claimed to be a victim.
Basically almost crying.
Right.
Yeah.
That would have never flown with Ketanji in the society that we live in.
Not in the least. So, Kareen, we are rooting for you, sister. We hope that you're going to do well, and that you learn where you need to learn, and that you are a superstar. And even if your partner is white, which I think she is, I feel like I saw an image. It's okay. We still support you.
We still support you.
We love that. I mean,
that black girl magic is still there.
And for anyone who is thinking that I am possibly even a little bit racist, I'm going to knock that out right now. I was in a 13-year relationship with a white man.
Ooh, really?
Yes, I was. Many moons ago.
So you know what it's like to be in that seat.
Oh, totally. I know what it's like to use that privilege too. I mean, many times I would tell him to,
co-sign for a loan, bring that credit score up.
How do you know that I didn't come to the table already prepared? I'm not even talking about that. I was talking about if we were going into, let's say, like looking for a house or looking for something, I may would send. I'll say, go. You go in first. You go in first and see if something's available. And when they tell you that it's available, then I'll come in.
Oh.
Because if I go in first, or even if we go in together, nothing may be.
There's
available.
no movement.
Right. And there's other little things like that. That we use. We would take advantage of his white privilege.
I'm picturing that scene from Boomerang. Like, we don't have a layaway plan. There's no returns. We don't keep money in the store.
Right. All that. On a little sadder note, Naomi Judd.
My God.
Passed away.
We lost an icon,
suicide.
an incredible country icon.
Right? Like, I remember her.
The matriarch of the Judds. Such incredible talent from that family.
Right. Her and Winona were the duo.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Winona Judd.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I really appreciate about what's happening around this right now is that the family, meaning Winona and Ashley Judd, have both been very transparent about their mother's mental illness.
That really surprised me that they came forward with that. I mean, having to be the ones to come forward and express this loss is one thing. Mm-hmm. But like you said, the transparency, you came forward, expressed the mental illness, and that her cause of death was actually self-inflicted.
Yeah. That is really important, I think, for them to be open about that, because we definitely live in a time where people are really suffering. I know there was in the news a week ago, maybe a week or two ago, at the time of this podcast recording, where a young black student, athlete, I think, who committed suicide on her college campus.
Oh, the cheerleader in Baton Rouge.
Oh, is that where that was?
Yes.
Yeah.
And she posted it on social media right before she did it. Even
announcement.
Even said to her mother, "I'm sorry," but some kind of remark to her mother saying, "Sorry, but rest well that I won't be suffering anymore." It's like, that's got to be devastating.
So much so, and from Winona, who is from Naomi Judd, who is someone who is a rich, famous, well-loved matriarch of a family of successful daughters. Like, she had a lot of good things going for her in her life. So for her to still be in such a mental state where she felt like suicide was the best way out for her, to me, that just speaks to the tragedy, to the severity of this illness, that is mental illness.
Right. It's something you got to take serious.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that over the last few years we've had such a big push for taking care of yourself and making people realize that mental wellness is so important. Mm-hmm. So many jobs have taken it in as part of their HR programs to make sure that their employee wellness and employee happiness is something that they're really taking into consideration and a priority at that.
Yeah. Can I ask you a personal question? I mean, you don't have to answer it or not.
Okay. Let's take a chance, see what happens.
Have you ever thought about suicide in your life? Was there ever a time in your life where you thought about it?
Wow, you went there. I have a lot actually, for a great portion of my teen years and everything. I think what kept me from doing it was my faith, and knowing that, according to my faith, suicide is a one-way ticket to hell. Mm-hmm. And when I was struggling with my sexuality and my sexual identity and my religious beliefs, it's like I spent a great deal of time trying to figure out a way, make this happen where I won't end up in hell. Now, if I'm being really transparent, I went through a very difficult time when I was 33. And I was put in a situation where I could have ended it all, and technically wouldn't have been suicide. I was in a beach in Florida, and I got caught by the undertow. So if you know what the undertow is, it's a very powerful current that just sucks you out into the ocean.
Yeah. And
I was like, well, if I decide to just let go, it's technically not a suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided to fight. I decided to swim with every last ounce of energy that I had. And closed my eyes, held my breath, swam until my hands hit sand. And that's when I knew that I had some fight left in me.
I mean, I'm just gonna leave it at that. I mean, the investigative journalist in me wants to dive deeper, but I'm gonna leave it at that. I appreciate you sharing that. I'm sure someone will be blessed by hearing that. I think for me, I'm gonna say like 98% of my life I never thought about that, but there has been a couple of 2% moments where never close to doing it, but definitely thinking, would it just be easier than going through whatever I'm going through right now to just be done with it? But then, I didn't own a gun. I didn't, I was worried about if I took the wrong amount of medication, I would end up on what is it, brain dead or something, and which is one of my worst fears. I have many worst fears, but that's one of the worst fears.
That's what me too.
To be
being alive but not being functional.
Yeah, or even worse, you're aware and cognizant of what's going on, but no one knows and realizes that you are. And anyway, so I think in the end, probably what made me not attempt anything, I kind of went by that mantra of, well, if I just lay here, go to sleep, and close off from the world, tomorrow will be different, and I'll try again tomorrow. I didn't win today, but I'm still going to try again tomorrow.
That is so Bible. Weeping may endureth for a night, but joy cometh in the morning.
I'm real Bible, but I don't try. I'm real Bible. I think this is just how I was raised.
It's built in.
It's built in there. Yeah. So to all of our listeners and to the people we care about so much out there, please know that we support you and that we hope you will choose life and choose to fight and get help if you need help. If
Absolutely.
you can't do it by yourself.
You matter to us. You matter to those people that love you and care for you, no matter what the situation may have you feel at that time. And mental wellness is something very important. So take advantage of those resources. Take those days off, whatever you need to get your mind right. Cut off those things that are stressing you out at home, stressing you out at work. Cut out those people that may not be good for you. One of the lessons I had to learn is sometimes it's better to let go sooner than to hold on too long.
Yeah. That's deep. Okay. So one more thing we're going to talk about before we take a break. Mr. Elon Musk has bought Twitter.
$44 billion.
$44 billion. $1 billion. You know how much money $44 billion is?
Yeah, how many people you could help with $44 billion?
Do you know that he could probably eliminate poverty in the United States with that much money?
Oh, God, yes.
At least for a good 5 years. I mean, of course, there's some people who are going to spend it all and they're going to end right back in poverty. But he could have done, he could do some major, put no college debt. For all.
He could have changed a lot of people's lives.
But you're so bored, and you claim to be worried about the First Amendment, essentially, of Twitter, and and he didn't like how Trump got banned off of Twitter, and he was saying how there may be bad things on Twitter or misinformation on Twitter, but that. It has a right to be there, and people should ignore it if they don't like it, or, I guess you can block different people so you don't have to see what they're posting. And of course, there's this big concern now that he's basically co-signing on racism, misogyny, It could even be what do you call it when the endangerment of children, like he could be co-signing on a lot of stuff right now with this.
I mean, one of the biggest reasons that Twitter made the decision to shut down Donald Trump's account was because of all the influence on the insurrection that happened on Capitol Hill in January 6th. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of people were injured. Some people died. And, if nobody was going to take responsibility for that, the people over Twitter said, well, let's just use our power and do this.
Right. Take away the platform for that.
Yeah. I mean, he still has his freedom of speech. There's no denying that.
And he has his own little platform that he started that I think is, it's popular amongst a certain sect of conservatives or.
Yeah. I think the only thing he lost the access to the mainstream, which Twitter had gained over its existence. Mm-hmm. But it's not a cancellation of the First Amendment for him.
Right.
Just the platform.
Well, I'm interested to see how that's going to turn out, Mr.
I suspect people will just move to another app.
Yeah, although there's some people who really would hope to not to have to move from that app. Those people that moved from Tumblr. That moved over to Twitter.
It's like, I just got my list right. I'm following the right people. I've got my freak Twitter.
well, I was talking to someone who did not realize that there was dark Twitter. And when we say dark Twitter, we're not talking about black Twitter. We're talking about
adult Twitter.
Twitter after dark, if you will. And before dark and afternoon.
24/7.
24/7.
And the voice of Portia, 265 days a year.
And the thing about it is, I think what Twitter is doing for a lot of people, it is giving them. That chair is wearing you out, boy.
I know, right? I'll submit a request to Charlie later.
So I think the biggest thing the worry is sex workers. All the OnlyFans people who use Twitter as kind of like the
conduit for promoting their
exactly.
I could see that.
And
it's not like you can promote it on Facebook.
No, well,
ish.
There may be a way. Speaking of sex work, and I'll just say this, and then we can take a break. I really hope that if there's any escorts out there, sex workers who would like to come onto the podcast to talk to us about what you do and what that life choice is like. I think it would be really cool to have someone on because
I might know a few.
Why am I not surprised?
I mean, I go out there on the highways and the byways. I talk to people.
You talk to people. You never meet a stranger. Yes. Okay. All right. Well,
I think it's a good time, to bring in a commercial, and then we can bring in our guest speaker,
and which is Nico Bear, right?
Yes.
And we'll be talking about body positivity.
Absolutely.
We'll be right back.
Today, bottoming can be pretty demanding. Fasting all day.
I'm so hungry.
Rigorous meal planning.
I'm tired of eating ice cubes.
And dairy deprivation.
Oh my God, I just had yogurt. Ah!
But douching doesn't have to be. You want things to be simple, but your tops want it all personalized. You can have it all with just one pill. With the Bussy Controlled 3001, you can do both. When you take the pill, your top will smell a unique scent that reminds him of his favorite dish, while taking your insides from Flint water to spring water. So tasty and so clean. To all my girls out there, it's your time. Order the Bussy Control 3001, and with just one pill a day, go from basic to classic. Now available with Bluetooth.
are back.
Yes, we are, and I am very excited about our guest today.
Me too. This is our first in-studio guest.
Yes,
You're making history today, Nico.
Oh, I feel so special.
Well, Nico Bear, welcome.
Hello, everyone who's ever listening.
And this is where I will insert the applause right here.
Thank you. I need some more.
Yes, it
Thank you
is
for that.
very exciting to have you here. As as Cream stated, you are our first live in-studio guest, and we're excited about what we're going to discuss today.
Now, we've had plenty of callers, but that's different. That's very different. So Nico and Soulful, you both know that we are talking about body positivity.
Absolutely. And one of the things, it's funny that we picked this topic today because at Big Boy Pride, the main topic of the seminar was body positivity. You know, you go to an event like Big Boy Pride that's catering to that. It's very easy to celebrate your body positivity, but the seminar was about how do you celebrate body positivity after the event is over?
That is a good question. Because when you're amongst all these people who all automatically celebrate each other and celebrate the way each other looks and everything, it's easy to do that. But before we even get into that, can we talk about what is body positivity to us? What does it mean?
I would say for me, body positivity means being comfortable in your own skin. You know, you love what you see, and you go with it. You know, I mean, you want to make some changes, sure, go ahead and do that. It's your body, do what you want with it. But as long as you like it, be happy.
Okay, all right. Soulful.
So I agree with Nico Bear. I just want to add to it. I think, when you celebrate body positivity, it's definitely about being comfortable in your own skin, but also letting it, not letting your size or your build stop you from doing things that, smaller people might do. If you're a dancer, but you're 350 pounds, or, you're a gymnast, you're not going to let your body and your weight stop you just because, society has put a certain image in your head of what the people that are excellent at these things should look like.
Right. Really, it's everything that y'all are saying. In addition to that, it is, I guess, being and just loving yourself where you are, but not necessarily. It doesn't necessarily mean you're even okay with where you are, but it's a level of acceptance and a level of embracing yourself in the moment. Because I have found so many times that when I look back at old pictures of myself, where in that moment in time, I may have really didn't like myself the way I looked in that time, and now I look back and I go, motherfucker, you were so cute.
That happens as
you
get
were
older,
skinny
as we get older.
You only had a size 34 waist, and all your friends were like 20 something waist, so that's why you thought you were so fat, and you weren't fat. You just a thickums. That's all
It's
it was.
funny. I was in high school and I was 160 pounds, and I thought I was fat. I was miserable because I thought I was fat. Fast forward 10 years later, after college, I was at my heaviest at 330 pounds. And I was happy with myself. I was good with the curves and everything. Since then I've lost 100 pounds, so a little over there. I'm at 225 now, but I'm just as happy with my body now as I was when I was 330. It's like you said, there's always room for improvement, but I definitely appreciated what I had.
Right.
I've been fat my whole life. Okay, I was been a big kid, and now I'm a small and got big. Now I've been the chubby fat kid everyone makes fun of and everything else. So I'm like, y'all were skinny? 160 pounds in high school? What excuse the fuck out of me? I was 250 or something. What's oh my God.
Big bones.
I never had it because I've always been made fun of for being fat, and even then, it's how you would take it. Like I didn't too much take my weight into consideration until like middle school ish. When I actually started looking at myself and how I look at things, and went to a dark place with it, which to me seemed was dark because it looked different for everybody else. I know for me it was like how can I put this? For me, my darkness was me not eating a lot and me really focusing on, what I eat or how should I eat it, or even not being as social. Because I was in my mind, I'm fast, so I don't need to be in the spotlight. Knowing me, I always been in the spotlight, and I'm going to be in the spotlight because that's how I am. I just gravitate to it naturally.
And I think that is such a phenomenal example of body positivity. Like, I'm built like this, and I've been fun of all my life, but it's not going to stop me from being in the spotlight.
Yeah, like all that happened. Like, well, I say high school, I was mascot for like the school, and like it went from there. It was a great time after my senior year. I'm sorry, I say my sophomore year. Great. Had associates. I just didn't have friends in high school. I mean, I wish I could say, oh, I hang out with everybody. And no, I was at school. We did work after school. Awesome. Then straight home. Like, I didn't have friends till like after my senior year that summer. Boom. Then I have friends, hey, I know of you. Let's hang out. Sure. Why me? But okay. And then boom, lots of have friendships.
How did you get through that time? Well, I got a couple questions. So you talked about not there being a time where you really didn't even see yourself as fat. And then that kind of went to a time where you were getting bullied about your weight to you eventually seeing yourself that way and staying home and all that kind of stuff. Was it the bullying that triggered that for you, or how did that transition happen?
No, it was more along lines of I've always been not necessarily a loner, but I've been by myself, and I would never get invited out to hang out with people. Even with my cousins, it was like a distinct family memory was during the summer, we all went to the country. That was the thing what we did. Like summer, we went to Navasota because that's where our family's from. My cousin was actually my brother and my sister, not me. I was like, so I could have stayed home, and they would have went, and like it stood out. That when it stood out, from like I'm really like. I'm different from everyone else, specifically my siblings and family. I'm like I don't quite click with the girls, and I don't click with the guys. So where do I fit?
Now, do you feel that was because of your weight at the time, or was it just personality?
I think because of me being gay, probably. But even then, I wasn't. Even when we were living in the country, I wasn't hanging around with them. It's like I would want to be around them and do the play football or baseball when I have you. Just that it never clicked for me. Like I would try. Oh, I want to join in, and because I was one of the youngest boys. It's like no, you stay home. It's like everything was on the circumstances, but I would try to go do it. Oh no, I'm too young to go do it, or you be in the way, so you gotta stay. I'm like, well, okay, that's kind of how my life been up to a certain point. I always it's been I can go, and then boom, no, you stay because of XYZ.
So just a lack of inclusivity.
Yes.
Did your family ever, any of you, did your family ever discuss your weight growing up? Was that ever something that people?
My family's the reason I thought I was fat.
Okay.
My brothers were all skinny. I was the chunky one compared to them. I was drinking Slim Fast while I was in junior high.
Oh, wow. Now, who put you on to the Slim Fast?
It was my choice.
Oh, it was?
My parents kind of let me do it, but then they felt bad that I was skipping meals. Yeah, it was a crazy time.
I'm trying to think. I don't... I definitely have not always been a bigger guy. Or there was a time I was so skinny,
I've seen
skinny
those
mini,
pictures.
but what? Because I was so skinny, my lips look huge. Because I have big lips, but they looked ginormous in comparison to my body because they were not proportionate at the time. But I think my weight stuff was me. It was me comparing myself, like, because I think in high school I started working at a truck stop, and I was eating food every night. I worked graveyard shift, and I ate a lot of free food, and a lot. And so by the time my senior year started back, I was pretty big. And I remember there's a picture of me sitting on the couch at home, and I just looked so greasy and miserable in that picture. And I started seriously working out when I went to college because there were so many fine men there. I was like, oh shoot, I gotta
stay ready.
Step it up. I gotta get ready. So that's what made me actually start working out was, my lust from the boys in college.
Your desire for men made you want to be more desirable yourself.
It did, and which definitely led to, bad eating choices. Trying different weird things. Skipping meals. Definitely had a lot of slim fast moments, and just a lot of poor eating and working out habits. Working out's probably too much and things like that. So how does it look does body positivity ever look bad? Like, Lizzo has been very body positive and showing off her assets all the time, and
literally.
And that trainer from The Biggest Loser, I think her name is Jill. I can't think of her last name.
I know who you're talking
Julian.
about. It's Julian.
It's Julian.
Jillian.
That's it. So we were getting there. Jillian.
I remember her.
And Jillian did some kind of article or she made a post about it, about saying that, it's good that she's so happy about herself, but she's not healthy. Like that weight is not good for her. And so it made me begin to think like, okay, well, what do you want her to do? Do you want her to just lay in a corner and, be sad about what she's got? But I think Jillian was probably thinking about something else, like maybe what the messages she's sending to people.
Right.
What do y'all think about that?
Much like you said earlier, you can be happy with where you are and still want some improvements. When I was 330 pounds, I was fine with my body. I was confident in it, but I also knew in the back of my head that, I need to be doing better in some areas. Like, there's no reason I should be in my mid-30s and getting winded after walking up one flight of stairs. So, as long as you take responsibility for your health, just because you're skinny doesn't mean you're healthy.
True that.
And not everybody that's fat is unhealthy. Mm-hmm. And I say fat not in a condescending way.
You always say that.
It's just what it is. I know we have some sensitive people out there, and, just letting them know it's not how intended. I've been fat. Clinically, I am fat. So
the term is obese. Clinically obese.
I think that's worse. Obese sounds much worse than fat to
clinically
me.
Obese, morbidly obese.
Well, yeah, all those words. That's sounds scary.
Right.
Yeah. Fat is a state of mind.
So with Lizzo, and to bring it full, bring it full circle. One of the big controversies with Lizzo a couple of years is that she went to that basketball game with her ass showing and she was twerking and everything. And a lot of people felt that she shouldn't be doing that. There was a lot of discussion around it because, there was families there, kids there, and a lot of people felt it was inappropriate. Mm-hmm. I do agree. I don't think it had anything to do with Lizzo's weight, but I just think when you're you're outdoors in a situation like that where there's families and stuff, you probably have to take some extra responsibility in how you dress yourself and how you act. Some people argued and said, well, if Rihanna would have done that with her skinny self, nobody would have had a problem with it. But I disagree with that. I think people would have still complained.
I agree. People would have complained.
It really had nothing to do with Lizzo's weight. It was just the behavior. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. What about this idea of body dysmorphia? This idea where you kind of, I haven't looked up the idea. This is just my understanding of it. Is that where maybe the reality of your body doesn't match your mind, how you see yourself, in some kind of unhealthy way? For me, And usually how that translates is when someone who's really skinny sees themselves as being fat, right? And that's why maybe you have anorexia and things like that. For me, it was the opposite. As I was getting bigger at one point, I was like, "Oh, I'm fine." You know, it was like when I got to my biggest, that between the doctor, between my back starting to hurt, you know, between like things like that, and then I look in the mirror and I finally the reality of those things said, you're not that fine, and I was still getting laid, like nothing was had really changed. So I was like, oh, okay. But when those things start happening, the doctor's telling me this, my body's starting to talk to me. Then all of a sudden, I'm looking in the mirror, and then it's like all of a sudden the fantasy I was kind of living in about myself came the curtains parted, and it was like, no, bitch, you got some work to do.
Maybe those numbers from that blood work will humble you so quick.
Okay.
What are you talking about? I'm fine. That's not what your A1C says.
I know. Like, have y'all ever felt any kind of body dysmorphia in any kind of way like that? Maybe not the way I felt it, but just in your own way, where you were thinking one thing about yourself, but maybe you were in your reality was different.
I mean, I could see that from both sides, happening to me and happening to other people. I mean, I have some people here in Houston who put on a few pounds because of the pandemic, and I was like, that weight actually kind of looks really good on them. Not that it's the best thing for them, but I'm just saying. They just happen to get thick in all the right places.
Mm-hmm.
I would say for me, it'll be along lines of I see my weight when I gain it. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I notice the extra 10 pounds that I have, or extra 20, depending on what happens. And like I should really strive to try to lose weight, and it will push me for a second. Then I will be okay with where I'm at, and then I gain whatever weight I do have, I gain it right back. Which is hard for me to lose weight and keep it off. It's just like difficult. Mm-hmm. I don't know why it's like that, but that's my body. I'm trying to work with her. She is a work in progress.
I think the other number for me that would humble me when I thought that, oh, my body's fine, I gained 15 pounds, oh well, it's fine, it looks fine. The other number that would humble me was the number on the waist size of the pants that I was buying. I'd be at the store looking, shopping for 46-inch waist shorts, and it's like, oh, 46 doesn't fit anymore. Let me grab the 48s, and I realized all that's left on this rack is 48s and 50s. If I go anything above that, I'm gonna have to go shop somewhere else because they don't carry my size anymore.
Yeah, that's my life. The shop somewhere else. But Nico, to your point about the struggle of to that kind of, I've gained 10 pounds. Oh, I have to do something about this. And then at some point, it kind of normalizes off at some point. Mm-hmm. You adjust, whether that's, we adjust on some level. So, some of us. I know some people have ways of not adjusting, but for those of us who love food and whatever, sometimes it's harder to adjust. And then next thing you know, you've gained 5 more pounds than the 10, and it is a struggle. It is tough. When it kind of get back to that thing we were talking about earlier, loving yourself, but also trying to do what's best for your health as well. If you've gotten to a place where you feel like it isn't necessarily just about me looking good, it's about me feeling good, it's about me living longer, and those things, because we have to eat. We have to eat. It's not like drinking or smoking, where you can say, I'm going to avoid this, and I'm going to avoid liquor. I'm going to avoid cigarettes. When people like, I'm not going to say like us. I'm going to speak for myself. People who love food a lot. I think I'm a foodaholic. I really do on some level.
I definitely am.
And every meal is a choice. Like, every meal is a conscious decision of like, is this a balanced meal? Is this too many calories? Is this too much this? Is it too much that? And I don't know about y'all. Sometimes I would just get exhausted by all that thinking about it, and then I would take these long I don't give a fuck breaks, and then that's when I would gain even more weight.
I think if we're being really honest, and I can speak from my Hispanic heritage, and I'm sure it's the same thing in the Black community. Both of our cultures, when it comes to food, they're very, very rich in carbs and sugars. And I know with me and my family, a lot of times my meals come with 3 or 4 starches. And that's a lot for the body. And, for a while we can do with it just fine, If it's one meal a week we're eating like that, that's fine. But when every meal is like that and every meal is carb loaded and sugar loaded, then we're just we're destined to be fat and unhealthy.
Yeah.
And you can eat a lot of food if you're eating the right things, but it becomes difficult to make those choices when we've been brought up with those delicious options.
I remember my mom at church, we would have these fellowships every first Sunday at church, where after the church service there would be food. People would potluck. Exactly. And I remember my mom telling me, "Don't you be the first one in line." Because people would, after church, people would kind of meander. And I'm just like...
Because nobody wanted to be the first in line.
And I had no problem with being the first in line.
I have no problem.
Okay?
Let me break the seal.
Yeah, I would have no problem breaking that seal. And she would be like, "Don't you be the first in line. And don't you be the first to go up for seconds. You wait till everybody gets some food first before you go up for seconds." And I don't know why them church bologna sandwiches hit so good back then. And they weren't even fried. It was like a cold bologna sandwich with mayonnaise and white bread and maybe some cheese on it. And it was so good. I mean, there was other stuff, the typical stuff you might expect, in a black church. But one of my fond memories of those bologna sandwiches was those bologna sandwiches was hitting. It was so good. Yeah, so that relationship with food... And then, us transitioning or always having been certain weight, there is that whole, I don't know. I mean, have you always loved yourself in your weight, or did you have to learn to love yourself in your weight?
You have to learn to love yourself in your weight.
And why do you have to learn? Why don't we just automatically do that? Why do you think?
Society. It's no way to say that.
I agree. I've been conditioned to hate the inappropriate weight that my family thought I was since I was a kid. Not just family, but it's something that's instilled from you. You're supposed to look a certain way.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be a certain way, and if you're not that way, then you're subject to chastisement and ridicule until you adjust it.
True.
Same thing being gay. Same thing.
Yeah. Should everyone really be body positive? Should there some people be ashamed? Should there be someone and you're like, you should be ashamed of where you are right now, and I don't want to hear nothing about no body positivity, because there's nothing really positive about what's going on right now. Is there a place for that kind of comment about someone? Or because people do say that kind of stuff on the online and maybe even the people's faces. I'm sure. What do y'all think about that?
In my opinion,
that's what I want to hear.
It's your opinion. Keep it to yourself, because if that person is comfortable with their body and what they want to do, what's the business of mine to ruin that when it ruin their day? Granted, if their doctor and whoever else in their life is telling them, bad, and they are still, well, I'm happy my way, I'm do me. Go ahead. I mean, who again don't know you. Have your fun. I'm like that. Like, granted, I have a doctor and I know I didn't lose weight. I'm comfortable where I'm at, and I'm happy with my body. Sure, I want to lose weight. I have a goal of losing 75 pounds. Yay. Even then, I will still be considered big, because I'd be 325. And I like that weight. I'm comfortable being a chubby black guy here. Love it. Want to keep it that way. I don't see myself being any other way for longest time. I think I'm not even built to be skinny. Right. So I'm going to be chunky or muscly by some standards. But even then, I like where I'm at. I'm always comfortable in my body or try to be comfortable. Because, you know, if you don't love yourself through the process and on the process, you're not gonna be happy when you get done. Mm-hmm. It's a long way of saying it, but you know.
No, right.
I mean that's your interpretation, and you nailed it. So yeah, we get it. Should everybody really be body positive? And you know, not to step on anybody's toes, it is what it is. I think when, you know, if we're talking about specifically about weight, I think when it gets to a point where it starts compromising your independence and your physical abilities,
right,
and you're more concerned about pushing this image about yourself when you can't do stuff for yourself.
Yeah, you can't.
I think that's the point where you really need to have a reality check.
Yeah.
And right off the bat, I think of everybody we see on my 600-pound life.
I was totally thinking about that.
People that can't get up off the bed, people that are frying chicken on the bed, and you know, if you get to a point where you are basically trapping a loved one to take care of you day and night because you're just physically unable to get out of that bed anymore, you're physically unable to do things for yourself, I think it's time to have a reality check.
Yeah,
I agree.
Any final thoughts on this topic?
I'm just gonna add to what we've been saying all along. You know, don't let your size and your body stop you from living your life. You know, if you want improvement, you know, enjoy the improvement, but appreciate what you have. So what if you have a couple of extra inches around your waist or a couple of extra pounds on that scale? Don't let it stop you from getting out there and dancing or competing or doing whatever you like to do that seems to be dominated by skinny people. You know, if you're good at it, put yourself out there and enjoy it.
Yes, well said. Well said.
All right. Well, Nico Bear, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today.
You've been a great guest. Got us thinking we might have to do this more often.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, let me check my schedule. I may be booked. You know, I'm so busy. I got things to do. You know? Oh, my God. And, like, I got, like, work to do. You know?
Well, next time we'll have snacks in the waiting room.
Oh, yes, please do.
He's I'm there.
The green room is lovely, y'all. They have fried chicken. Just put it out there. I guess you're going to.
All right. Thanks, Nico.
I think it's a perfect time for another commercial. We greatly appreciate our sponsors, and here's from one of them now.
Don't miss the elaborate production of a classic hood tale. Bring your baby mamas, daddies, hermanos, tias, and a pastor from down the street to Houston's holiday favorite, a layaway miracle on Montrose Boulevard. The Unauthorized Rusical, now through December 24th. Buy your tickets today online at R. Kelly Theater, bail bonds, and checkcashing.org. Again, there's R. Kelly Theaters, bail bonds, and checkcashings.org.
And we're back.
Yes, we are.
Praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. That's how to do it.
Pass me a peppermint.
Oh, a peppermint.
The church peppermint.
Peppermint. Oh, give me a caramel, a butterscotch, or that strawberry wrapped paper. Yeah, that candy.
Yes, it looked like the wrapping looked like a strawberry.
Yes,
I remember those. Well, my grandmother used to give me those.
Yes. Okay, so we're doing our closing top 3.
Yes, indeed.
And we are doing the sexiest male celebrities.
This will be a fun one because what's sexy to me might not be sexy to other people, but I like what I like.
Exactly. You like what you like, and that's perfectly okay. So you go first. We'll go one to one.
One to one. Okay, I'm gonna go for I'm gonna work my way to save the best for last.
Okay.
Number 3 on my list is a Black British actor, and it's not Idris Elba. It is Nonso Anozie.
Now you need to tell people what he did.
He's been in a lot of movies. He was in Ender's Game. He was in the reboot of Conan the Barbarian, the one with Lisa Bonet's husband.
Oh yeah, him.
I don't know why I'm forgetting his name right
me
now.
too. I'm forgetting his name too. Yeah, he's definitely an honorable mention on the hottest male celebrities. Yeah, him.
Yeah, so
Momoa, Jason Momoa.
yeah, Jason Momoa, but he was in the reboot of Conan the Barbarian, but Nonzo was one of the guys helping him.
Okay.
6'6", just thick. He can do it all. He can.
Was he in Black Panther?
No, he wasn't.
Okay.
Surprisingly, he wasn't. He would have been a great fit.
Because I was thinking about, I thought you were talking about the guy who played.
Winston Duke.
Yes.
About M'Baku.
M'Baku. Damn.
He's great looking. Yeah. I just,
No, you chose who you chose. That's fine.
I thought about him, but
actually, I forgot about M'Baku. He would be he's gonna be an honorable mention on my list. So my number 3, I'm gonna say is Arnold Schwarzenegger when he played Conan the Barbarian.
Oh, look at that!
Because oh my God, I was crushing. My little gay heart was crushing so bad on those muscles and them big pecs and them big arms.
And the skimpy outfit.
Skimpy outfits. Oh my goodness. And he had a little sex scene with whatever, it's Red Sonja and stuff. Like, oh my gosh. Yeah, that was joy to my little gay heart.
They made it the first, because there was 2 movies, but the first one they really tapped into his primal side when they made him fight for his life.
Mm-hmm. I had some good time watching them Conan movies.
They were great. I still watch them.
Yes, Arnold Schwarzenegger as Conan. Yes. Okay, what's your number 2?
Number 2, Cuban-born actor Donald Faison. Donald Faison, comedian. I think for me with him, I think I've just always thought he was a handsome guy. Love his smile, the most amazing smile, and personality for days. I mean, he is such a shit talker, but he's so confident with it and everything. I definitely one of my top 3.
He's the big comedian, the real big guy. Okay, yeah.
He was actually here in Houston not long ago, and I was like this close to getting tickets to the Improv to go see him. But yeah, I missed out.
My number 2 will be The Rock, and I know that's cliche to say The Rock, but
you better stake your claim.
I mean, fine is fine, okay. and as you can see, there's a theme here of muscles, and
you give credit where credit is due.
And I'm a taller, bigger guy, so I'm oftentimes fantasy attracted to men who are bigger and stronger than me. Now, you little bits out there, doesn't mean you can't shoot your shot. Yeah, don't be discouraged now. I find little bits attractive too. But fantasy wise, the Rock types, just the idea that someone can, pick me up, it's like, oh, delicious. One time somebody did do that. Like
really?
In my 3+ size, we're at some event years ago in Atlanta, and this big guy, and if he's listening, you know who you are. He was like, "Oh, I can pick you up," and I was like, "Oh, you can't pick me up." And he put those big arms around my body.
I think I know who you're talking
about. And he
about.
lifted me off the ground, and I felt like a damsel in distress, but in the best way possible.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Sure
I might have seen him at Big Boy Pride.
I think you did, because one of my friends put a camera on him and was like, "Girl, he got fine. Look at him. He been working out."
Yeah, this one's always been built like a truck.
He has, yes. And I'm sure right now many people are like, "Okay, we know who he's talking about." But anyway,
the clues are there.
The clues are there. Yes, follow the breadcrumbs, children. And who's your number 1?
My number 1. Anybody who really knows will know this. It's like would not be surprised. Anthony Anderson.
Really?
I love me some Anthony Anderson, especially before the weight loss.
I need you to explain yourself.
Anthony's just. I mean, when he was a big guy. He never, I guess, back to body positivity. I mean, he never dimmed his shine, even as a big guy. I mean, on the screen, he just oodles and oodles of personality, comedy, he just everything. I remember I saw the movie Cradle to the Grave, and he had to flirt with this security guard that turned out to be gay to distract him so they could run complete the heist that they were performing. And I was in theaters and I'm just watching how he's really hitting and working on this man, and I just felt myself melt like, oh, that could have been me. And he lost a lot of weight for health reasons.
Right.
He's getting older and everything. And, I commend him for that.
Sure,
Though, but when he decided to do that underwear post on Instagram in solidarity with Will Smith and all the other black male actors, I was like, oh, God, the feelings are still there.
So you screenshotted it and you downloaded it to your phone.
Mm-hmm. No denying.
No shame in your game.
So, Anthony, if you ever happen to hear this and I ever meet you, don't go through my phone.
Right.
Mind your business.
Mind your business.
And take this selfie with me.
Yes. Well, my number one, once again, I'm not going to qualify it. Right now, in this moment, I'm going to say it's Shamar Moore. And that's because I've had a crush on Shamar Moore, once again, since college, when he used to model in the International Male magazine.
Okay.
He used to be a model before he was like an actor in there. And I might even say maybe a tie between him and Jimon Hansu.
Oh yeah,
Jimon Hansu. Because I started crushing on him when he was in Janet Jackson's video for Rhythm Nation. That was it, "Love Will Never Do Without You" video. Mm-hmm. And I know that if someone's out there who's a know-it-all, knows that video came out way before Shamar Moore was in International Male. But that's around the time that I was discovering all of Janet Jackson's catalog and back catalog and stuff, because I grew up, as we may have talked about before, not listening to secular music. And so I discovered Janet during the Janet album. Then I went backwards to wow, what's going on? So it's kind of a tie, but yeah, Shamar Moore.
Yeah, Shamar Moore looks great. I just really wish that Tyler Perry hadn't ruined him for me with Diary of a Mad Black Woman and those horrid braids that they put on his head.
Well, Soulful, it has been a pleasure being back in action.
Absolutely. So good to reconnect with you. These are always fun.
Yes. And to our listeners, thank y'all so much for tuning in to the episodes. To the new people, welcome. And to the people who were the day ones, as they say, really appreciate you.
Yes. Thank you all. To those of you at Big Boy Pride who just walked up and spoke to me and talked about how excited you are about the podcast. Thank you so much for listening, for being bold enough to come and speak up. We greatly appreciate your support.
Yes. Amen. All right. Take care, y'all.
All right. Y'all be safe.
We need to come up with some kind of good farewell sign off. Like, you know how RuPaul has, if you can't love yourself, how the hell you gonna love somebody else? we need to come up with something like that too. Y'all, if y'all got any suggestions for us, hit us up on Instagram and let us know what we need to be saying.
We definitely welcome them.
What should be our sign off? All right. Bye. You have been listening to the Soulful Cream Podcast. And honey, we are so thankful for you listening to our little old podcast.
Whether it was your first time or the 100th time, we are grateful for you.
Be sure to share this podcast with your friends.
Don't keep us all to yourself now.
We are the Soulful Cream Podcast.